The Setagaya Family Murders, also known as the Miyazawa Family Murders, was a senseless crime that shocked Japan in the early 2000s. Despite the slew of evidence left behind by the killer, the case remains unsolved all these years later. The Miyazawa family was the typical Japanese family. 44-year-old Mikio Miyazawa worked for Interbrand, a marketing firm based in London. Interbrand was a large multinational corporation with branches in more than 20 countries. They had undertaken major marketing campaigns for renowned companies like Microsoft and Nissan. Interbrand had even been responsible for branding the term Wi-Fi the previous year, in 1999. Mikio's colleagues referred to him as agreeable and friendly. He got on well with everyone. Mikio was married to Yasuko Miyazawa. She was 41 years old and known as kind-hearted and compassionate. Yasuko worked as a teacher and was a dedicated mother to the couple's two children, 8-year-old Nina and 6-year-old Rei. Young Nina was in the 2nd grade. She was active, enjoying both ballet and soccer. Rei's start to life had been a bit harder. He battled with a speech impediment. This caused some stress for his parents and, no doubt, the child himself. But Yasuko and Mikio had started getting professionals' advice about their best way forward. The Miyazawas moved to Setagaya in 1990. It was a growing residential area with more than 200 families, offering an appealing environment to raise a family. It was the 2nd largest district in Tokyo, not far from Tokyo Bay. The home that the Miyazawa family moved into looked like one residence from the outside, but was actually 2 separate areas. Mikio and Yasuko lived on one side with their children, and Yasuko's mother and her sister and brother-in-law lived on the other. No door connected the 2 sides internally. To enter each section, you needed to go through an external door. There was a park located directly behind the home. The city had plans to expand it, which meant that many of the Miyazawa's neighbors have been relocating in recent months to make room for this expansion project. As previously mentioned, the Setagaya area was home to over 200 families when the Miyazawas moved in. Now, there were just 4 left, including their family next door. Only 2 other families remained down the street. The neighborhood now held an eerie silence where there was once the hustle and bustle of parents raising their children. Some activity still came from the park's state park, though. It was located right behind the home, only separated by a chain-link fence. In the final week of December 2000, Mikio got involved in a confrontation with some teenagers at the skate park. These youngsters had been causing worsening headaches for the Miyazawas with their rowdy behavior. Mikio went up to them and complained. This group may have been members of the Bosozoku, a type of Japanese motorcycle gang. Yes, the noise was frustrating, but the family only had to put up with it for a few more months before moving to a different home nearby. Unfortunately, that time never came. On Christmas Day, December 25th, Yasuko told her father-in-law about a strange car parking in front of their house, despite other nearby parking spaces that did not require climbing over a fence to access the park. 2 days later, on December 27th, an eyewitness observed a man believed to be in his 40s hanging around the Miyazawa home. Initially, this may have seemed innocent, considering the presence of people in the area due to the nearby park. But with what we know happened to the family, it raises some suspicions. On December 29th, a man wearing a skater-style outfit with a backpack was seen near Seijo Gakuen Mai Station, a few miles from the Miyazawa family's residence. The eyewitness found this odd due to the weather conditions, as the man seemed underdressed. On this same day, the police believed a man matching this description purchased a sashimi knife from a local supermarket in the shopping area. This purchase was easily traced, as it was the only one made at the supermarket that day. On December 30th, A man fitting the same description was sighted near Sengawa Station, approximately a mile from Miyazawa's home. The unidentified individual, believed to be between the ages of 35 and 40, seemed to be gradually moving closer to the Miyazawa family residence in Setagaya. It was December 30th, 2000, a Saturday. The Miyazawa family was going about their day like normal, preparing for New Year. The family apparently went on a shopping trip in the early evening around 6 p.m. It's uncertain whether all 4 family members were present. A neighbor driving past their house that evening noticed the absence of their family car at approximately 6:30 p.m., so they were still out at that time. At around 7 p.m., Yasuko made a phone call to her mother next door. The two often spoke over the phone and were very close. Nina went over to her grandmother not long after Yasuko called and stayed until 9:30 p.m. watching a TV show. The last recorded activity of any of the Miyazawas came when one of them opened an email at 10:38 p.m. At approximately 10 o'clock that night, a witness strolling along the park path behind the Miyazawa residence overheard an argument from home. It didn't sound sinister, more like a couple getting into a heated exchange. Around an hour and a half later, a relative of Yasuko from next door was startled by a loud banging noise from the Miyazawa side of the building. Not long after this, a man was spotted jogging along the path of the family's home. A taxi driver, not far from the home, recalled picking up 3 middle-aged men. The men didn't utter a word throughout the journey. The whole interaction struck the driver as odd. He picked the men up after midnight and dropped them off at a nearby station a short distance away. One of the men appeared to have an injury, and the other had blood on him, some of which was left behind on the taxi's seat. Initially, the driver didn't overthink the incident. That was until the news of the Setagaya family murders burst into the headlines. The following morning, on New Year's Eve, Yasuko's mother tried to reach out to her daughter's family to make plans for later in the day. None of these calls were going through. She didn't know it then, but the phone lines had been cut. Naturally, Yasuko's mother's first instinct was to go to their side of the house and see what was happening. She rang the doorbell repeatedly, but received no answer. She then used her set of keys to get inside. The house was silent, and it wasn't long before Yasuko's mother was confronted with a horrible scene as she stumbled upon the lifeless body of Mikio Miyazawa at the foot of the staircase. Mikio had been stabbed multiple times. Yasuko's mother cautiously climbed the staircase. At the top, a chilling sight greeted her: the bodies of her daughter, Yasuko, and her granddaughter, Nina. Both of them had been stabbed dozens of times. Inside a nearby bedroom, Yasuko's mother encountered the final tragic scene: the lifeless body of 6-year-old Rei. Rei had been strangled to death, leading investigators to surmise he may have been the first victim. Yasuko's mother's whole world had just been thrown upside down. She hurriedly contacted the authorities to let them know what she had found. According to the investigation by the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, it was determined that the killer, or killers, gained entry to the Miyazawa family home by entering through an open window in the second-floor bathroom. The intruder climbed a tree, removed the window screen, and entered the house. The assailant used their bare hands to strangle Rei. Upon hearing something, Mikio rushed upstairs and struggled with the attacker. The assailant managed to overpower Mikio and used a sashimi knife to fatally stab him in the head. Subsequently, the killer attacked Yasuko and Nina, using the broken blade and a santoku knife found in the house to stab them multiple times. Following the murders, the perpetrator remained inside the house for an extended period, during which they even used the family's computer, ate and drank things from the refrigerator, used the toilet without flushing, tended to their injuries using available medical supplies, and even took a nap on a sofa in the second-floor living room. The killer also rifled through drawers and papers, scattering some in the bath and toilet, and stole some money. Surprisingly, the assailant left 10 items on the family sofa, including a knife, scarf, hip bag, sweater, jacket, hat, gloves, shoes, and 2 handkerchiefs. Investigators discovered the presence of the killer's DNA and fingerprints throughout the Miyazawa house. However, none of these matches were found in their criminal databases, suggesting that the assailant had no previous criminal record. Based on physical evidence, the killer is believed to be approximately 170 centimeters tall with a slender physique. The police estimated that the killer was no older than 35 at the time of the crime, considering the physical demands of entering the Miyazawa house and carrying out the murders. The nature of the wounds inflicted on the Miyazawa family indicates that the killer is likely right-handed. During the crime scene analysis, the killer's blood was discovered, revealing traces of type A blood that did not belong to any member of the Miyazawa family. Further DNA analysis of the type A blood revealed that the killer is male and possibly of mixed race. The maternal DNA indicated European ancestry, potentially from a South European country near the Mediterranean or the Adriatic Sea, while the paternal DNA indicated East Asian descent. It is worth noting that the European material DNA might originate from a distant ancestor in the mother's lineage rather than an entirely European mother. The investigation into the Miyazawa murders is considered one of the largest in Japanese history. Throughout the investigation, they have gathered an extensive collection of evidence consisting of over 12,545 pieces. All of the evidence related to the case remains under the custody of the authorities. As of December 2021, a reward of 20 million yen is still being offered for any information that leads to the killer's apprehension. In 2015, it was reported that a dedicated team of 40 officers was assigned full time to the case. In 2019, it was disclosed that 35 officers are still actively working on the investigation. Each year, the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department conducts memorial ceremonies at the Miyazawa house. The motive behind this callous murder remains entirely unclear. Many have speculated that it may have been gang retaliation after Mikio's incident with those gang members. Still, it seems unlikely that such a small thing would have resulted in an entire family being murdered. But if they didn't do it, then who did? Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments. And most importantly, please subscribe and ring the bell. That way you'll be notified every time we upload a new intriguing case.